We've changed the shape of an object using the z-axis. Now it's time to change the shape of the object using the x and y-axis. And what we're also going to be doing is showing you how to move objects, not using the arrows, not the green, the red and the blue arrows, using a different method. We're going to show you how to duplicate objects and also how to rotate objects. So let's get on with it. This is where we left off last time. We had flattened our cube so that it is more of a platform than a cube now. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding some shapes, and we're going to be showing you how you can change the shape using the x and y axes. Alright, so for me to add a shape, there are a couple of ways that we can do this. Firstly, down on your toolbar at the bottom is the word add. So you can click on that, and we will always use at the moment the mesh category, and then we can add a shape this way. There are always alternatives though, and one of the alternatives that you can use is you can press the space bar. Once we press it, it will come up with a window and it will allow us to add. So we have to say to the computer we want to add something, and in this instance what we want to add is we're going to actually be adding a cube. Okay, so I'm going to type in add cube. Oops, if I can spell correctly. And if I click on add cube, then you'll see that it will place a cube on my stage. Alright, so I said I was going to show you how to move the object without using the arrow keys. Okay, so the way that we can do that is to use a letter on our keyboard, and that letter is G for grab. So if I press G, I can then move this freely to wherever I want to. I'm not constrained by which plane I want to move it in. I can move it in whatever direction I want. So let's just show you that again. So G, I can grab hold of it. I can place it wherever I want it to go. And once I'm happy with the position of it, I can then left click and it will hold that position. I'm going to use my middle mouse and I'm going to have a look at whereabouts this sits, because sometimes perspective is a funny thing. You can't always tell where this is sitting. So if I move my screen just by using the middle mouse button, then you'll be able to see whereabouts it's sitting. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit. I can use grab again and I can drag it down. Okay, moving my mouse again, I can press grab, which is G, and reposition it. Okay, I can still see a little bit of air there. So if I wanted to, I could always use the arrow as well. Alright, so we know now how to actually change the position of this. If we have a look underneath, can you see my cube is just sticking through the bottom there, so I'll need to move that up very slightly. That will do nicely. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in. If you remember, zooming in is using the middle mouse button. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to change the position of where this object is on my screen without changing any of the objects on the screen. Sounds a bit complicated, but sometimes when you zoom into something you're not necessarily at the right angle. You might want to change the angle. So to do that, I'm going to hold down the shift key on my keyboard. Now the shift key, if you have a look on the left hand side, just have a look under caps lock, you'll see the arrow that points up. That is your shift key. I'm going to hold down my middle mouse button now, and I'm going to move it so that when I zoom in I've got a better view of my cube. Shift will allow you to move the whole screen rather than the objects. So let's say I wanted to turn this cube into, let's say, a fish finger shape. And what I can do is I can decide which axes I need to change this on. So to make this into a fish finger shape, which is a rectangle shape, I'm going to need to reduce it on this axis here. Have a look down in the bottom corner and you will see that this axis is the Y axis. Okay, just like we did when we changed the Z axis, we're going to press S for scaling. and then I'm going to press the Y axis, which will have a green line straight through the middle of my object. Now, the closer I move to the middle button, to that little yellow button, the thinner or the thicker it will get. Okay, so if I move closer to it, it will get thinner. Okay, my mouse is a bit twitchy. So let's say I wanted to stop there. Now, if this is a fish finger, then it's actually a little bit too wide as well. So you can see the axis that I need to change is the red axis. Again, looking down here, you'll see that the red axis is the X axis. So let's press S, let's press X, and let's reduce the size of it this way. Hey presto, I have a fish finger. All right, if I wanted to scroll around this, it's probably still a little bit too thick. So I'm going to make it just a little bit thinner. So again, S, and then what axis do I need, ladies? X, and let's make it thinner. Okay, let me have another look. That's better. Okay. So, one fish finger.